I'm 81 years old, and for a long time, I thought knee pain was simply the price of getting older. I remember the morning it truly frightened me. I tried to stand up from my chair, and my knees didn't just ache, they resisted. It felt as if the simple act of rising had turned into a negotiation between my will and my joints. That was the day I realized something had to change. If you're listening to me and you recognize that feeling, the stiffness when you first stand, the sharp pinch when you turn, the dull ache at night, you are not alone. Knee pain is one of the most common complaints after 60, and by the time we reach our 70s and 80s, it becomes almost universal. The cartilage that once allowed our joints to glide smoothly begins to thin. The muscles around the knee, especially the quadriceps and hamstrings, gradually weaken if we don't use them regularly. Circulation slows. Inflammation lingers longer. But here's what surprised me at 81. The body still responds. Even now. Even after decades. My doctor explained something simple but powerful. The knee joint is not just bones rubbing together. It is a living system. It depends on movement for nourishment. Unlike muscles, cartilage doesn't have its own direct blood supply. It relies on the gentle compression and release that happens when we move. When we sit too long, we're not protecting the joint, we're starving it of circulation. That idea changed everything for me. The problem was that traditional exercise felt intimidating. I couldn't imagine squats, long walks, or getting down on the floor. But then I discovered chair exercises. And I say discovered because it felt like uncovering a secret movement that was safe, supported, and surprisingly powerful. The first exercise that made a difference was something so simple I almost dismissed it: seated leg extensions. I sat tall in my chair, feet flat on the floor. Slowly, I lifted one foot until my leg was straight. I held it there for a few seconds, feeling the muscles at the front of my thigh tighten. Then I lowered it slowly back down. I repeated it 10 times before switching sides. At first, my legs trembled. That trembling wasn't weakness alone, it was dormant muscle fibers waking up. The quadriceps, which act like shock absorbers for the knee, had been underused. Strengthening them reduced the pressure inside the joint itself. Within 2 weeks, I noticed something subtle. When I stood up, there was less hesitation. Another movement that helped was seated marching. Sitting upright, I lifted one knee a few inches, then lowered it, then the other. It looks almost playful, but physiologically, it stimulates hip flexors, improves circulation, and gently mobilizes the knee joint. The repeated lifting and lowering pumps blood through the legs like a second heart. Circulation matters more than we realize. As we age, blood vessels stiffen slightly. Movement helps maintain elasticity. When I finished even 5 minutes of these small exercises, my knees felt warmer, and warmth is often a sign of improved blood flow. I also began practicing heel raises while holding onto the back of the chair. Standing behind it for balance, I slowly lifted my heels off the ground and lowered them again. This strengthened my calves, which support overall leg stability. Many people don't realize that strong calves reduce strain on the knees because they help control how we step and shift weight. One of the most important lessons I learned was about control. Every movement was slow. No jerking. No rushing. When we move slowly, we allow the nervous system to coordinate the muscles properly. Fast movements often shift strain into the joints. Slow movements keep the muscles engaged. Pain is a complicated signal. Sometimes it means stop. Sometimes it means adapt. I learned to distinguish between sharp pain, which I avoided, and mild muscular discomfort, which meant growth. There's a difference between joint inflammation and muscle awakening. Over time, I added gentle seated hamstring stretches. Sitting at the edge of the chair, I extended one leg forward with the heel resting on the floor, toes pointing up. Keeping my back straight, I leaned slightly forward until I felt a stretch behind the thigh. Tight hamstrings pull on the knee joint from behind, increasing tension. Lengthening them reduced that pull. I never imagined that flexibility would matter at 81. But it does. In fact, it may matter more now than it did when I was 40. Balance exercises also became part of my routine. Holding the chair lightly, I practiced shifting weight from one foot to the other. Balance is not just about avoiding falls, it's about joint alignment. When we wobble, our knees compensate. When balance improves, Alignment improves. Something else changed too, my confidence. There's a psychological component to knee pain. When movement hurts, we begin to fear it. We avoid it. Avoidance leads to weakness. Weakness leads to more pain. It becomes a loop. Chair exercises interrupted that loop. They gave me controlled success. Each repetition was proof that I could move without harm. I practiced for about 15 minutes each morning. Not an hour. Not a complicated routine. Just consistent, gentle movement. Consistency is more powerful than intensity at our age. The body adapts gradually, but it does adapt. After a month, I could stand longer while cooking. I could walk to the mailbox without bracing myself mentally. I could rise from my chair using less support from my hands. It wasn't a miracle cure. I still have arthritis. The cartilage hasn't magically regrown. But the muscles around my knees now act like supportive scaffolding. They absorb forces that would otherwise compress the joint. If you're wondering whether it's too late for you, let me tell you something clearly. At 81, it is not too late. The human body maintains what scientists call plasticity, the ability to change, even in advanced age. Muscle fibers still respond to resistance. Nerves still strengthen their connections with practice. Blood vessels still improve circulation with movement. The key is safety. Sit in a sturdy chair without wheels. Keep your spine tall. Move slowly. Breathe steadily. Never push through sharp pain. If needed, speak with your healthcare provider before starting. But don't wait for perfect conditions. I waited too long because I thought I needed special equipment or supervision. What I needed was willingness. One of my favorite additions was simply practicing sit-to-stand. I would sit near the edge of the chair, feet hip-width apart, lean slightly forward, and stand up without using my hands if possible. Then I would slowly sit back down. This mimics one of the most essential movements in daily life. Every repetition strengthened not just my knees, but my independence. Independence, that's the real goal, isn't it? Not running marathons. Not lifting heavy weights. Just being able to move through our homes without fear. There were days I didn't feel motivated. On those days, I reminded myself that motion is lotion. Joints thrive on movement. Even 5 minutes was better than none. Gradually, the morning stiffness shortened. The nighttime aching softened. I began walking a little farther each week. Not because someone pushed me, but because my body allowed me. At 81, I understand something deeply. Strength is not about youth. It is about use. The body we ignore declines faster than the body we gently challenge. If you are sitting there thinking your knees are too far gone, I once thought that too. But weakness exaggerates pain. Strength reduces it. These chair exercises did not reverse time. They did something more valuable. They gave me control again. And here's something beautiful. When you begin moving, other systems benefit too. Blood sugar regulation improves. Mood lifts. Sleep deepens. The brain receives more oxygen. Even mild strength training has been shown to support cognitive function in older adults. Movement is medicine. Not dramatic movement. Not exhausting movement. But intentional, repeated, thoughtful movement. If you decide to try this, start tomorrow morning. Sit tall. Extend one leg. Hold. Lower. Repeat. That single action could be the beginning of reclaiming your mobility. I am 81, and I am moving better today than I was a year ago. Not because my age changed, but because my habits did. If this story helped you, or if you know someone struggling with knee pain, share this with them. And if you'd like more gentle, science-based exercises designed specifically for seniors, subscribe to the channel and join our community. We're proving every day that age is not the end of movement, it's simply a new chapter of it.